It is an absolute pleasure to guide you through this in-depth exploration of threshold signatures. For this workshop, we will delve into the intricacies of this cryptographic marvel. Our journey will commence by comprehensively understanding the theoretical foundations of threshold signatures. We will then scrutinize the threshold signature scheme, conducting a technical comparison with multi-signature and Shamir secret sharing. Finally, we will dissect the nuanced world of their pros, cons, and versatile applications backed by mathematical formulations. The concept of threshold signatures, or TSS. Threshold signatures basics. To initiate our expedition, let's immerse ourselves in the theoretical framework of threshold signatures. A threshold signature scheme, or TSS, is a cryptographic construct where T represents the minimum number of participating entities required to produce a valid signature, and N is the total number of entities involved. This collaborative approach significantly enhances the security of cryptographic processes, particularly in distributed systems. The generation of a threshold signature involves each entity processing a private share and a corresponding public key. The threshold ensures that at least T entities must participate to produce a valid signature. Key components and mechanics. Now let's dive deeper into the intricacies. The verification process involves confirming that the sum of individual public keys corresponds to the computed public key associated with the generated signature. The equation for verification can be expressed below. This mathematical foundation forms the backbone of how threshold signatures operate, ensuring a distributed, collaborative, and secure signing process. Visual representation. To augment our theoretical understanding, let's visually represent the collaborative signing process through an example. Imagine a scenario with N participants, each contributing their private share to collectively generate a threshold signature. This visualization will provide a tangible representation of the cryptographic orchestration at play. TSS versus multi-signature and Shamir secret sharing. Comparison with multi-signature. Transitioning into the comparative phase, let's juxtapose threshold signatures with the conventional multi-signature scheme. When it comes to security for cryptocurrency wallets, there are really two different multi-party approval scheme options, multisig and threshold sig. Clearly, multisig is far more well known because it's been part of the cryptocurrency specification since the year 2008. Ironically, the concepts of threshold sigs have been with us for a couple of decades, but they're only recently become practical to implement. That is fantastic because threshold sig is more efficient, more cost-effective, more scalable, and more resilient. Collectively, these attributes enable it to be fundamentally more secure than multisig. In a multi-signature setup, the collective signature is formed by concatenating individual signatures. In contrast, the threshold signature is generated by the collaborative sum of individual shares. This technical comparison exemplifies the distributed nature of threshold signatures, which renders them resilient against single-point failures and collusion attacks. Comparison with Shamir secret sharing. Moving further, let's draw parallels between threshold signatures and Shamir secret sharing. The latter involves dividing a secret S into N shares, Si, where a threshold T shares are required to reconstruct the secret. Comparing this with the threshold signature scheme, we observe that both approaches distribute responsibility among participants, yet they differ in their ultimate objectives. The former aims to collaboratively generate a signature, while the latter focuses on reconstructing a secret. Because the private keys are what's used to generate an ECDSA signature, which allows the funds to be withdrawn from a cryptocurrency account. Now, private key security can be implemented with a couple of different options. Single signature is the default mode for most implementations. It is a simple implementation where one approver uses one private key to generate one signature on a transaction record. And this is the default model that's used for most trust transactions today. It's easy, it's low in cost, but it also provides the lowest levels of security because if the holder of the key gets hacked, their funds are effectively gone. Multisig is an alternative scheme that was specified by the Bitcoin specification back in the year 2008. And it introduces the idea of having multiple approvers, each with their own private key to generate their own signature, where each approver's signature is recorded as part of the transaction record. Now, multisig is exponentially more secure than standard single-party approval scheme. However, it does introduce some undesirable attributes primarily associated with the recording of each signature of the approvers as part of the transaction. Threshold signatures are a new alternative that only recently became viable to implement. Similar to multisig, it supports multiple approvers, but it does this using one distributed key, which generates a single signature on the transaction record. Ultimately, threshold sig offers the highest level of security because it provides all the upsides of multisig without the downsides. Multi-party computation. Threshold signatures use a technique called multi-party computation, or MPC. An MPC locally generates one key share on each of the approver's devices. The shares are never recombined, they're never in the clear, and an entire key never exists in the system at any time, which obviously makes it more difficult to have key theft. As a multi-party approval scheme, at least M of n shares must be available to generate an ECDSH signature, with threshold sig n, which can be up to 20 parties, and M can be any value between 1 and 20. Threshold sig also introduces another parameter where up to T shares may become corrupted, and the system will still successfully execute and approve valid transactions. It also provides the ability to regenerate lost key shares and ultimately generate the signature to approve a transaction even in the presence of a corrupted party. Finally, one of the most important differentiators of threshold signatures is the fact that regardless of the number of parties or the number of actual approvers of a transaction, only a single signature is generated, and this results in the highest on-chain efficiency and ultimately the greatest privacy and overall security. Effective implementations of threshold signatures are fast on the order of multi-seconds, and asynchronous approvals means that transactions can be approved without requiring all the parties to be online concurrently for pros of TSS. Navigating into the domains of advantages, let's dive into the mathematical underpinnings. The security advantages of threshold signatures are derived from the inherent complexities introduced by the collaborative nature of the scheme. Mathematically, the security parameter k is proportional to the logarithm of the number of participants n. This exponential relationship underscores the robustness of TSS in the face of increasing participant numbers, thereby fortifying the security posture. Cons of TSS. While the advantages are substantial, it is imperative to address potential limitations. One notable challenge lies in the increased computational complexity of the signature generation process, as the entities must coordinate their contributions. This complexity can be quantified as a function of the number of participants n. Understanding these computational nuances is vital for effective implementation and optimization of threshold signatures in practical scenarios. Practical applications of TSS include secure transactions in blockchain and authentication protocols, where the most common application is in the storage of secrets in multiple locations to prevent the capture of the secret. So this includes certificate authorities, the military, and the government.